can give an example of one of my clients one time who was in IT. She was preparing for a job, a position interview, and had all the qualifications that were listed, except for one particular, and I'm not technologically oriented, but there was some technical skill that she didn't have. So she said to me, well, I'm looking for it. I'm feeling very confident about everything else. I know how to do this, but I don't know. I've never had this training on this before. So I'll just let them know that, and I'll just tell them, that, unfortunately I don't have that. And I was like, wait, stop. What was the problem there? And everybody, I heard everybody gasp at the same time. What was the problem?
She's bringing attention to her shortcomings rather than her strengths.
And that gets back to what you were talking, what you all been talking about. In other words, that's a pure way to turn somebody else off, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I said, wait a minute. Why would you offer that up? Mm-hmm. Why would you volunteer that this is something you don't know what to do when you have all these other wonderful skills? I said, let's turn this around. Let's flip it. I said, so suppose it's on your, in other words, let them bring it up. I said, so let's suppose they bring it up and ask, oh, well, we see you don't have experience in XYZ, or you haven't had training in XYZ. What? And I asked her, what would you say? How would you respond to that? And she said, oh, well, I could tell her, I can learn that. I could take a class. I'm capable of learning. I said, well, there you go. Because if they value what you're bringing, in other words, again, it's about that seeing yourself operating from a place of abundance as opposed to a place of deficiency. Okay? So I said, so if you bring your best to the table, they may say, wow, her best, you know what, we may hire somebody else to do this other job altogether. I had another client who went for an interview, and apparently, for whatever the position was, she managed to talk herself up so well that they actually created a different job on the spot for her. I mean, so you never know what's going to happen. It is so important that you carry yourself well, that you have a good sense, and that you conquer your fears and doubts. Another way, how else can we conquer? Suppose you're telling yourself, oh my goodness, you know what? I did the last job treated me so bad. I did so badly on the last job. I'm not sure I'm going to do well. If your confidence is being challenged because you have maybe not had a great record before, how can you overcome that? What might be some things and keep in mind, and one of the ways that we can change our thinking is by deliberately saying something different to ourselves, saying something that's positive, that's also accurate, that has a base.